Surprise! Cilantro! What? Hi hotties! Welcome to Tiny Bites, Big Courage. My ongoing quest to explore the edible universe with a nervous fork and a stubborn spark of bravery. I have ARFID, which means food can feel like a final boss fight with surprise texture traps and flavor plot twists. But I'm here to show that every small bite counts and that trying new things doesn't need to look dramatic or glamorous to be worthy. Basically what I'm doing is I'm going around Vancouver and I'm checking out places and rating them based on my experience as an autistic. When I see reviews, they're never for autistics, which drives me absolutely insane. So I want to make sure that I'm making a guide for autistics, for neurodivergents, so that way they can feel a little less anxiety when they are going to try a new place. In order to rate these places, I've created a rubric which is absolutely subjective and 100% my opinion as a very opinionated autistic. What's the parking like? What's the seating like? How loud is it? Did they add any surprise garnishings? What are the utensils that they're using? Does it feel like a hate crime? Are they giving me a big spoon with my dessert? So the first place that I went to was Memphis Blues BBQ, downtown Vancouver on Robson. Parking. I would probably say that this one is a little bit Hunger Games style. It is right in the downtown core on a very busy street. I would definitely check like the pay by phone app to see if there's any lots around. There is some street parking. However, if you have access to transit or if you live downtown and you're able to walk, I would do that instead. People density, empty. Because I used to work in the restaurant industry, I do understand that there are like busy times in restaurants. And seeing as I get overstimulated really easily, I choose not to dine during those times as a survival tactic, just in general. I highly suggest doing this if you're able to go outside of like high traffic times. So if I'm going for dinner, I try and either have an early dinner or late. So I'll go like after 7:30 or before 6 p.m. Interesting decor. The decor here was cute. It was really interesting. They blend visual with texture. The texture of the couches, cowhide, which I love. There were images of blues artists on the walls as well, and a giant bullhead above the bar, which was really cool. The washrooms were great. Pretty much everything in there was hands-free, except for actually turning the water on and off. Soap dispenser was motion. The paper towels were motion. The mirror was really cool. I don't know what one of the buttons did, but the other one changed the lights behind it, which was a vibe. It was super clean, which was awesome. And it was easy to find. They were also like gender neutral. It was just like one bathroom stall for the whole restaurant. I wouldn't say the washroom was a photo opportunity, but it was nice. I don't know how I felt about the lighting. I did think that there was enough light for me to eat comfortably, which did make me happy. However, like, no lampshades. What are we doing here? And like, I get that's a vibe, but hate. Overstimulation meter. So I think if it was busy there, it would be a little bit stressful because the tables are kind of close. So I would be pretty overstimulated hearing the table beside me. I've got one good ear. So this is my good ear. So anything on this side, I'm hearing real well. So if I'm sitting across the table from somebody, I'm actually having to like turn my face like this to hear them. If you ever see me out on a date or out with friends, 9 times out of 10, I have them sitting directly beside me so I can hear them pretty well, which does get annoying sometimes because we do have to ask for booths, but I'm just trying to hear. Otherwise, I'm listening to this other table's fucking conversation. You know what I mean? This place, I would say, is probably, I'm not good with numbers. Maybe I messed up a little bit by using this as a metric. Maybe I'd put this place at a 30. Sound levels. Thank God this place was empty because of the time that we went, so there was none of that. But count your days. I'm not coming to a family restaurant, I tell you what. Looks. How does it look? Does it look edible? Is it the right color? And I understand that it being the right color is completely subjective, and I don't care. It looked amazing. It was piping hot. The fries looked seasoned. Love that. The meat looked so juicy and delicious. If you know anything about me, you know I love meat with lots of fat. I love anything with lots of cartilage. Like, fat is where all the flavor is stored, first of all, okay? I love the texture of it. I don't care. I like it slimy, gooey, wet, whatever. I loved when my food came and I could see fat deposits on it. That brisket looked so juicy. And then I put my fork in it and the meat just falls. I have chills. Smelled. Oh my God. Basically, this meat is sauce. You know what I mean? If I'm barely having to use utensils for it, this meat is sauce. And that's 100 out of 100 on my scale. You know what I mean? I love that. I love that for me. And I love that for anybody else who's going to eat here. It was so delicious. Are the foods touching? I think that this is a dish where your foods can be touching. Again, this is completely subjective. Personally, I'm okay with my food touching, but I will answer this question for you, for those of you who hate it. The foods were touching, but it's fries and brisket. I feel like this is legal. If it was wet food, I feel like it would be a big deal, but they were touching ever so slightly. You just move the French fry. Wasn't a big deal. I think this one is okay. They get an A+ on that. Smell factor. It did smell normal. It smelled really good. It smelled delicious. Heavenly, some would say. I felt like a character out of like Looney Tunes where they start smelling something and they levitate and their nose just takes them to wherever they want to go. That's what I felt like. The sauce meter, my favorite one. They gave a godly amount of sauce. If you don't know me and or you're new here, I am the sauce boss. I am obsessed with sauce. I love sauce so deeply, truly. I hate dry food. I don't like when food is dry. That is a deal breaker for me. I get really upset. I leave. I have sauce in my purse. I have ketchup packets. You know what? I'm gonna grab them. My purse. I got ketchup. 2 Heinz. And like, look at the size of these things. Just in case. Just in case. God forbid I go anywhere and they don't have ketchup. They only have French's. And first of all, I don't want to hear it. As a Canadian, I understand, oh, but Heinz, French's has factories in Canada. Heinz pulled it. I don't care. I don't care, okay? This is an accommodation for my disability. French's is. That's why they both start with F. So this was a dry meal. However, the baked beans had a lot of sauce. The meat came with a big tub of dip, which was such a slay. The barbecue sauce, it was so delicious. How many times did I need to send it back? I didn't have to send anything back. It was delicious. It was perfect. It was so good. It was so good. Crunch/crispy index. I hate crunch. I hate crisp. I understand that that's not everybody's experience. That's just what I hate. The French fries, I would say, were crispy, but not dry. So edible and delicious. The meat was like falling off the bone. Nothing was too crunchy or crispy. Temperature betrayal test. No, Jess's food was especially hot.
Are you seeing this steam?
Everything was so fresh and so hot. It was so delicious. It was exactly the temperature that I thought it was going to be. It wasn't too hot. I hate when my food gets cold. It really ruins the entire experience. If you put my food down and then there's no cutlery, I'm pissed because now my food is losing temperature. It's not under a heating plate. My plates were probably cold when they put the food on it or like medium warm. And so like by the time I get the cutlery and or you remember the sauce that I asked you for in advance, which you didn't bring with my food. So now I'm sitting here waiting for my food, waiting to eat my food while you run around and get sauce. I need to calm down. Anyways, I find it really dysregulating. So it was great that everything came out the perfect temperature and it was so delicious and yummy. Texture, sensory, nightmare rating. The texture was perfect. It was firm in the places that it needed to be firm. It was soft in the places that it needed to be soft. It was crispy in areas where it needed to be crispy. It was all around just like a perfect dish. I will, however, say the beans were all wrong, which leads me to our next slide. What is wrong? Is the wrong brand, wrong smell, illegal garnish, wrong look, wrong vibes. First of all, illegal garnish. I have a rule. My general rule is green is gross. I don't eat green food. Don't quote me on that because I have started eating green food in the last couple of years, but it is very recent, okay? When I get a dish and there's nothing on the menu about green onions, we're bleeping that. When I look at the menu and there's nothing about green onions being on the top of my food and my plate comes and it's a cheesy dish. And so now I've got to spend all this time picking the dumb green onions off of my plate. out of my cheesy food, which is now losing heat, by the way. Why is it not on the menu? Why are you playing surprise with your guests? That sets me off. That sets me off. It's so upsetting. It's so dysregulating. Surprise, cilantro. What? Why have you done that to me? It's literally not on the menu. It's like, oh, sorry, did you not want that? Yeah, it's not on the menu, so I didn't know to ask for no green onions. If I had known that it was on there, then I would have just asked for it. You know what the real kicker is? Is when you are preemptive with it and you're like, oh, no green onions. I don't want any of this. I don't want any of that. Then the server looks at you like you're a crazy person. So they're like, we don't do that. Yeah, okay, most places also don't do that. But when I don't say something, my food comes and then you have to remake it. I'm getting upset. Anyways, Jess's jambalaya had green onions on it. Yuck. I felt like Mary from Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. Yuck. This is my confessional. The beans? Wrong. The beans were wrong. I think it was more like they're not Heinz beans, and like that's my issue. I do tend to struggle when people are like, we make our own baked beans, which these tasted like their own personal baked beans. Not for me. They're not Heinz, which is a slay for everybody else. But for me, wrong. Fail. The beans failed. Utensils. We all know how important this is. The utensils I didn't have too much of an opinion on. They were kind of square, which I don't like a square utensil. Why are you stabbing me? Why am I feeling scraping in my hand? The digging should be in my plate, not in my flesh. Did the texture betray me? The texture did not betray me. The texture was perfect. It was delicious, decadent, extraordinary, flavorful, perfect. Fight or flight reaction. The fight or flight was not very present. This was not a place that was causing me anxiety because these are foods that I would normally eat. So I had fight nor flight. I was a brave girl. Some would say courageous. Safe food threshold. This is and has always been on my safe food list. I did cop out a little bit. I wanted to make sure that I was going to enjoy this food, as this is the first one of my series. I wanted to get comfortable before I started adventuring into like the scary new foods area. The final score. Would absolutely eat here again. It was so amazing. I loved it. 10 out of 10. Would go back again. Again, this is Memphis Blues BBQ, downtown Vancouver on Robson. All right, hotties, thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. Join me in a few weeks where I'll be back for another round of Tiny Bites, Big Courage.